one of the biggest critics of AEW has been Jim Cornette. Have you heard any of his criticisms, and are any of them valid?
There's a lot of people whose business model is to be critical of AEW, and I don't say that to invalidate all his criticisms, but I understand his business. I understand he's got to have a show every week, and it's an easy thing to do to talk about a show that's already on, and it's easy to find fault with a lot of stuff, or to take an angle of, I don't like this kind of whatever, the same way you wouldn't like a certain kind of comedy, and then it's always going to be that comedy, so you can always make the same points. He has said alarmingly nice things about me.
Oh.
And I don't know how to take it. The thing he said was that I'm too funny for wrestling, which tells you how low he insists his bar be at. That like this guy, he's hilarious. Get him out of here. I'm sure some of them are fair. Sure. But I also understand the business model of, I have a show every week. It's fine. I did yell at him on Twitter once because he made a old school wrestling to Broadway analogy, and he was really wrong about the Broadway part. So as a theater aficionado, I had to speak up.
So not about the wrestling aspect.
Right.
The Broadway.
Was about the theater. The evidence he was using was incorrect.
Did he respond to you?
Yeah. So something to the effect of, fuck your mother. And you're like, well, I think we've won here. I
don't feel like you're in the business now if you don't get motherfucked by Jim on Twitter.
Right.
I think it's a requirement.
Yeah. I think he should change his tone a little. I want to see him take a risk creatively and do demure Jim Cornette. I challenge him to alter the genre a little.
You know how this works, though. Once you're on TV, you can't deviate from it. I remember, you'll love this reference.
Yeah.
Trent Acid.
Yes.
We're in a locker room, and Billy Kidman on SmackDown did his finish. Trent walked in the locker room the weekend after and said, I'm never doing that move again. It's on TV. It's not mine anymore. You can't. That's the thought process in this business.
Sure.
You find something, you're going to keep running in the ground.
Yeah.
But the more Jim Cornette,
well, I also feel like it's hard because to respond to him is to feed into that system. And
working a gimmick.
Exactly. So it's a win-win for him.
Yep.
And I don't have any animosity towards him. It's not, I wish the insults were a little better.
Yeah.
I think they could be a little tighter. That's just me as someone who's too funny for wrestling. But you realize, like, the best response is probably no response. And also, we're so busy with AEW and trying to make it good, and it's very difficult to make it good. And he would know. He's run many wrestling promotions, all with varying degrees of success. It's not easy. So I think one of the best things has been how busy we are at AEW to just
block out the noise.
Not even have time to address that. What do you want me to say?
When you think, varying degrees of success. I mean, we can say it, can't we? Like,
well, I mean, sure. I mean, he's one of the greatest managers of all time. We can say all these wonderful things, and a wonderful historian too.
Yep.
He has some VHSs of Man Mountain Dean I would like to borrow.
Right. Dark Side of the Ring doesn't happen without him. Like, he's an integral part of exposing that end of the business.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between him being able to say that and then going on Twitter and, double on you, motherfucker? There's not much.
No, but I also think, he's perfectly fine to say that. Right. I enjoy good criticism. There are people who take their criticism seriously as opposed to just writing, this is shit, and we'll explain why and whatever, like movie critics, theater critics, like that's, as someone who has criticized so many 90s sitcoms, it would be wrong of me to say you can't do that.
Right.
But I don't think Steven Weber should be reading my opinions on wings and answering them.
When you think about those beginning vignettes with Tony and sitting in that room and shooting them, did you ever have any idea? We are, I think, 2 or maybe 2.5 years later, where that would even achieve to be, let alone actually accomplish.
No, I think if you look back on all that stuff, her evolution seems quite gradual. It seems like a little bit over time, where it was like, what do they say when you boil a frog slowly, they don't realize they're even in boiled water because it happens so slowly. It's like that, where you're like, it's not like she just went away and came back fully formed.
Right.
It was like every week was like a little more and a little more and a little more. But then, it's hard to think of her any other way now.
Yep.
You can't believe those are the same people.
The phenomenon.
And when she came back as, Tony Time at the beginning of this year, it was quite frankly alarming.
Yep.
To realize, like, oh my God, she's been speaking a different way this time. And we're used to it. And in my interactions with her, I can confidently say the person I knew at the beginning of this has entirely disappeared. I've not close up, on a weekly basis, that woman is gone. Yeah, it's something that is, what's going on with her is bigger than all of us.
When you think about those beginning vignettes with Tony and sitting in that room and shooting them, did you ever have any idea? We are, I think, 2 or maybe 2.